Hey there, it's author and attorney Kelly O'Connell of Knockout Podcasts. Hope you're well. And a lot of strange things going on. And that's why one reason I'm trying to put out a podcast every day. Thanks for joining me. This one, hopefully, will be a little bit shorter. Now, have you asked yourself during the Afghan crisis that Biden doesn't seem to have changed his position at all, even though it is a very disastrous position? To go over that, he chose arbitrarily to leave in a couple of days. Now, this caused the Taliban to come down to try to get involved, and they're here and they are involved and they've taken over the city. Now, getting ready for this, Biden shut down the military Air Force base, and one reason I think he did that is because he gave the job to shut down the country to the State Department, which I think was a huge mistake. He should have left it with the military, who I think are much better at judging risks and responding to them. There were 2,500 people here that were basically peacekeepers in Kabul and the rest of the country. And so he sent the military home first. He makes the announcement that he's going to be sending the Americans home on 31st, basically. The Taliban get involved and now have shut everything down around the city and around the state. There's been a suicide bombing that went off, and that killed about 200 people, 13 of them Marines, U.S. Heroes, male and female. And he also gave all of this stuff sounds so crazy. He gave $80 billion worth of advanced weaponry to the Taliban. He also gave these guys a manifest of the most important names to get out of the country. So now the Taliban has that, and they're searching for these people. They also have a biometric history of the people that have helped the United States from the population. So each one of those people has got a big X on their face, and they're trying to find him, and they're killing people all over the country now. Biden, for his part, said we had to get out no matter what, and this way is better than not leaving, which is not true, because if any of these 40,000 American citizen civilians get killed, then it's going to look even worse than these Marines. Now the U.S. has suddenly said there's only 300 Americans over there, which is no excuse. They also opened up a prison that they had at Bagram Air Force Base, which they closed, and let loose 5,000 of the worst criminals in the country. Now, not even one of these things is helpful to Americans. It's not helpful to the Afghanis. But put it together, and it's the biggest disaster I've ever seen. It was totally avoidable. It was a self-goal. So, I feel like we need to start impeachment now and find out what we can immediately before all this stuff is destroyed. So the little essay I put together today, just mini essay for you. GOP must start Biden impeachment now while opposing all Dem bills, because all of the bills that these people have put together are just as crazy as opening the border for 2.5 million illegals. Just as crazy as leaving without taking your people first. Just as crazy as giving $80 billion worth of weapons to your arch enemy. So Biden spends free time working on Dem spending bill as allies die in Kabul. So while GOP frantically arranges evacuations of Americans in Afghanistan, Biden checked his watch during the U.S. Marine body plane unload, which was a solemn event. And while he's waiting for these bodies to come out, I mean, how long could it take 13 bodies to come down a conveyor belt? He had to check his watch. Now, he also did a few moments of silence and again checked his watch. So he's very distracted. He's not a sincere person. Perhaps he wanted to verify he had enough hours to spend on Pelosi's colossal spending bill pitch. up to $6 trillion, reported to be his priority. So in the last week, he hasn't spent a lot of time working on Afghanistan, which is he's apparently already written off because he's elderly, because he is in failing mental health. He has a short attention span on things that he thinks he's already taken care of. So Pelosi herself ignores Afghanistan while hosting Simi Valley fundraisers in California. A very, very sick duo. Joe Biden is not competent. He's got to listen to his advisors, so he's not really in charge. Nancy Pelosi believes the sun shines out of her rumpled rump, and her cellulite-covered ancient rear end, and she believes that her priorities, which are socialist priorities, she's an advocate. She's not really an American first person, she's an advocate. She's advocating for socialism, for social change, for the downsizing of the American capitalism and economy. And you can see that her own town has been torn to shreds by a lot of different things, and she doesn't care because she's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and she steals money by doing insider trading, but that's another one. Now, Biden is so mentally compromised he can't hide it anymore. In fact, just today, Joe was asked a question and said he was told not to answer any questions, but appeared to be available, but suddenly turned on his robotic heels when the subject was Afghanistan, like a vampire dodging a ray of sunlight. This all means we need to start an impeachment and use it as a fact-finding mission. Let's push back unfeeling Democrats who don't understand the game, suddenly changed after Kabul's cowardly and bizarrely self-damaging denouement or exit, or ending. While pushing Pelosi towards the exit, we must inform her she's not a god, that her socialism is a lie, and that her mission to disable America to transition us to global Marxism is a sick dream that can't live outside the incubator. It can't survive in the real air. Why Democrats believe treating the Kabul evacuation as no more important than returning a mop to a school janitor is unclear, but America is not buying Pelosi's absurd arrogance anymore. At age 80, Nancy is long past her sell-by date herself. As you listen to her, she can't even talk. She always uses sentence fragments like somebody's holding a gun to her head. But Americans now realize all of the Democrats' policies are one lie after another. Further, since all of Biden's plans are insane, not just his Kabul capitulation, then we must protect average Americans from all the Dem policies, including a $6 trillion spending spree. Of course, Pelosi sees Afghanistan as an opportunity to bring hundreds of thousands more foreigners into America while claiming she still trusts Biden, and that it's just some little small stuff that happened over there. She's not even paying attention. She wasn't in America. She was on some sort of a vacation. I think it was having these fundraising meals. You know, that's the most important thing to her, so she can manipulate her constituents. Her constituents are not, by the way, the people that live in San Francisco. They're her own House members. If the feeble GOP cannot force Biden to stay past August 31st, then can we at least push back upon Biden's crazy legislation and wild, overarching attempts to control and change the country? This failure of the GOP to act like an opposition party is why we have lost so many close elections. Americans realize the GOP is not conservative or libertarian, and so give up attempting to help the GOP because it's all about themselves. They're content to lick themselves like an old poodle or cat while America burns. Time to repent, friends. Call your congressman. Let's demand an impeachment. We can't let this opportunity let us by. We can't pretend this is business as usual. We've got to drive not just Biden out of office. We need to drive Pelosi out of office and Schumer and all of these idiots. The head of the, the head of the military, the head of the State Department, Blinken, and Austin, who's the head of the military, and all these other people. Let's do it, folks. Come on now, we can do it. And let me give you a little bit of weird news now. Okay, so 3 or 4 different, apparently unrelated stories, but I think you'll enjoy them. Heroic mom fights off mountain lion attacking her 5-year-old son. And this was on the 28th, which is technically yesterday. Well, it's 2 days ago now. And the lady was in California, of course. That's where all these mountain lion attacks happen, because they bring these apex predators back into their old environment and try to let them survive next to humans. The unnamed woman punched a 65-pound wild animal and wrestled it away from her child in the front yard of the family's house in Calabasas on Thursday. The mountain lion had dragged the child about 45 yards across the front lawn in a wild attack, said Patrick Foy, captain of the California Department of Fish and Game. So the mother did a good job. You gotta pat her on the back for that. All right. 12-year-old reportedly said to earn $400,000 in 2 months selling NFTs. What are NFTs? Non-fungible tokens. These are really strange. I don't think I quite understand it. The kid is in London. Benjamin Ahmed told CNBC he launched his second collection of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, called Weird Whales. And non-fungible tokens are digital assets that represent ownership of virtual items like computerized art and sports highlights. Transaction of these tokens are recorded on blockchain technology, powered by collections of code known as smart contracts. And they've exploded this year. And, to look at these things, they really don't seem that interesting. They're just a bunch of little whales without any back. Well, they have a colored background: yellow, orange, pink, purple, chartreuse or whatever. So anyway, this is so incredible. Now it cost Ahmed $300 to make the collection, mostly due to so-called gas fees. Anyway, so just look that up. It's just really crazy. It doesn't seem like it'd be worth anything to me. All right, here's a last story for you. A horrifying and amazing video. A giant tortoise attacks and devours a baby bird. Quote, "I couldn't believe what I was seeing," by Joseph Guzman, August 24th, 2021. And so this was at Frigate Island in the Seychelles, in the Pacific Ocean. And this video shows a female giant tortoise pursuing a baby tern chick stuck on a log. The tortoise manages to get its mouth around the bird's head and deliver a lethal bite. And researchers always thought that these critters were herbivores and only consumed animal parts on accident. And it is pretty funny. And that's off the coast of East Africa. So is that in the Atlantic? Maybe it is. As the tortoise closes in, kind of slowly walking towards this bird, the bird is pecking at the tortoise, but the tortoise shakes it off like a piece of dandruff. And when the chick is pushed by the tortoise to the end of the log, the tortoise manages to get its mouth around the bird's head and deliver a lethal bite. And then the Seychelles giant tortoise then swallows the young bird whole. It's horrifying. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, says the researcher. And in the past, it's been impossible to decide whether tortoises eating animals had killed them or just happened across them. But now experts say these are bland attacks, so you never know what you're going to find out about reality in the future. So anyway, do me a favor, consider getting together and calling or writing your congressman and tell him that you demand that this idiot Biden be removed from office, and that we're trying to fight to save our country. We've got to get rid of all of these things. But I think the worst person in the United States has got to be Nancy Pelosi. She's extremely arrogant. She's way, way past her sell-by date. She doesn't care about anybody but herself. She's a thief. She's a liar. And the main thing is, when she's going after her plans, which are always leftism, like they fell out of the sky, like a blueprint for the universe. They're not made up by somebody named Marx, of course. They come out of heaven. That she just believes this crap. So, anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful day. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Kelly O'Connell, Blog Talk. Pardon me. I used to do Blog Talk Radio, but anyway, podcast named Knockout Radio. And would you add the channel? And would you give me a thumbs up? Thank you. Have a great day. Ciao.